All right, everybody, we're into the developing section of 2.2. Hopefully you're being able to understand those properties that we talked about in the last video. This one's going to be pretty short. There's just 3 examples, and the reason that they are in their own section is because they're decimals, fractions with the negative and positives, and adding them together. Hopefully I can be able to help you with a little bit of that and understanding what you're supposed to be doing with those. Okay. So for the past 2 years that I've been teaching this class, I have found that no one likes fractions and more people like decimals, but we really struggle with them. So we're needing to get some practice on them before we get into some higher math, because decimals and fractions, they don't really care if you like them or not. They're still going to show up and you're still going to have to answer them. I think some of us get a little intimidated by them, which we need to try to practice some more to be able to find out that we can do those a little easier. Okay, so first one on our list. First one on our list is negative 2.4 plus 3.9. All right, so we're still working with your negative number. That belongs to the 2.4. Positive number is the 3.9. If you wanted to, you could make a number line and be able to work these out as well. It's a little bit more complicated because of the decimals. Something that you can do though is, one, obviously you could use your calculator. Okay, I told you that you can use the calculator anytime. This would be one of those examples, but let's do this long ways first. So I have a negative number here, positive number, and I'm going to be shrinking the bigger number here. So minus 2.4. So basically I took the same sign and just moved it below it. This helps me sometimes when I'm doing this. I'm going to take this out. Okay. Let's see. So now all I'm doing is subtracting, and we should do 5. Okay. And then 1. Now the negative number belongs to the smaller of the numbers. Okay. And so this number is going to be positive. So this would be our answer to that first one. Some tricks like this and putting it over the top of each other makes it a little easier to visualize it and what you should be doing. Okay, let's move into the next one. Hopefully you were like, oh, well, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Let's move into this one. 4 1/5 plus minus 9 1/2. Okay, so if we were going to work with the actual, well, how we usually say it is 4 1/5 plus negative 9 1/2. Okay. Now, in order to put these together, we have to work with the fractions. Okay, so the fractions here, if you remember, we have to get the denominator to be the same. So I'm going to choose, I'm going to make it easy for myself, and it's probably the only way to do it right now, is I'm going to multiply both by the other. Okay, so this is 2 times 1 and 2 times 5, so that would be 4 2/10 plus, and then you got your negative here. You got negative 9 5/10. So 5/10 and a half are the same, 2/10 and 1/5 is the same. So we have the negative there. Now, what you could do, well, I'm gonna go with this first, and then I'll talk about strategy on what to do with this. So now I'm going to be taking these away. First, I'm going to do the whole numbers here, well, the integers. So that's going to be minus 5 because I had a 4 and a negative 9. Okay, so now I'm going to be subtracting the numerators. So that would be 3, and then the denominators stay the same. Okay, now, went through that a little bit quickly. Once again, you're not here, so you can pause the video, make sure that you're going back, watching it again. That's why I'm videotaping these, so please make sure you're using that. When we're working with these numbers, you'll notice that I have a plus sign, and then a parentheses, and a minus sign. So sometimes, I wanted to do it that way because sometimes on the test, that's how they'll have it. But here's also the same exact thing. So 4 1/5 minus 9 1/2. Okay, so little something to think about. We told you that this negative sign belongs to this number. Okay, now whatever number is on the left, when you start, that is what you will be taking away from. Okay, so we always read it from left to right. So this number right here is the number that you will start with. So 4 1/5. Okay, you have a positive 4 1/5. And then I'm going to take away 9, which you don't have that many. So I'm going to take away 9. All right. So I know that maybe seems really simple to you, and hopefully it does. But you can take these numbers and just read them from left to right. So this number first, this number takes away from that number, and that's how come we have a negative number there. Okay. Let's move on to the next one here. So that's a fraction, so when we have these fractions, you need to remember this rule right here, and you can rewind it and watch it again. There's also a video on, it's called Math Antics, okay, and they talk about fractions and how to subtract them and add them and those types of things. Really good YouTube videos. That guy's really good at what he does. He's way better than I am. So as far as videos go. So let's look at the next one here. So negative 11.4 plus minus 3.8, like so. Okay, and there is an equal sign over here. Put that in there. So we have a negative 11.4 plus negative 3.8. Now, once again, you don't need the plus sign here. It's just there because that's how they have it set up. You could get rid of these parentheses. The parentheses are just kind of holding this negative to remind you that it belongs to that 3.8. So now you have, if we changed it like that, you have negative 11.4 minus, so you're going farther down into the negative side of 3.8, okay? So if we were to do that, so we're going farther down, so that means our number is going to combine to actually make a smaller negative sign, but the number itself will be a little bit bigger. So we can do the same thing. So negative 3.8, okay? Now, if I have two negatives here and there isn't a third, we will talk about that later, but not right now. But if I have these two negatives, that means I'm going farther down, so I'm going to add these together here, okay? So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, okay? 3, 4, 5, 1. Now, I went farther down into the negatives, and so my negative sign is going to follow that in there, okay? You can go like this and make it a little easier to follow. But negative plus a negative, it makes a bigger negative. Negative, minus, all right? So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you're able to follow along. This would be your developing section for 2.2, all right? If you have any questions about it, please give me an email. I was going to say call, but you can't really call me. Well, actually you could call the school, and they can get you connected to my room, and I can talk to you if you need to. So hopefully that's going great, and you're doing just fine. Let's move on to the next section.